Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, and welcome to this full council meeting on the 28th of September 2023. I would like to welcome members, officers, and members of the public to this meeting of the council. Before the meeting starts, I'd like to invite the committee member and scrutiny officer to update you on the systems being used and confirm that officers in a remote attendance are present.
Thank you, Chair. We're going to go through the rules of debate to begin with. If a member wishes to speak, they should use the speak button located on the microphone unit. The microphone will light up green and the chair will be alerted of your request to speak. When the chair invites you to speak, your microphone will be made live and will turn red, at which point you can speak. The normal procedure rules in respect to debate and times to speak will apply. Voting. When requested to vote, voting will be via the yes, no, abstain buttons on your microphone unit. Details of how members voted will be shown on the screens around the room and the results will be visible on the YouTube stream. In the event of a tied vote, the chair will have the casting vote. Are there any questions before we start the meeting? I'll now hand back to the chair.
Thank you very much. Apologies for absence. I have received apologies for absence from councillors Simon Bloxham, Dominic Griffiths, Tom Plater, Sam Collins, Terry Tyler, James Denslow, David Barnard, and Ewan Cowell. I have also been informed that Councillor Cathy Brownjohn is running late but will be joining us. Are there any other apologies? Councillor Brown.
Councillor Rajbakar.
Thank you. Right, the minutes of the 13th of July 2023. I'd like to propose that we take as read and approve as a true record the minutes of the meeting the council held on the 13th of July 2023. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Dennis.
Yes, happy to check. Second, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any comments? No, in that case, we shall take it to the vote, please.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Notification of other business. There has been no other business advised. Number 4, the chair's announcements. Number 1, audio recording. In accordance with council policy, this meeting is recorded. The recordings will be available on both the council's YouTube page as well as the council's ModGov site. Climate emergency. Members are reminded this council has declared a climate emergency. This is a serious decision and means that, as this is an emergency, all of us, officers and members, have that in mind as we carry out our various roles and tasks for the benefit of the district. Declaration of interests. Members are reminded to make declarations of interests before an item. The detailed reminder about this and speaking rights is set out under the chair's announcements on the agenda. Rules of debate. Please can I remind you the normal procedure rules in respect of debate and times to speak will apply. No speeches may be made after the mover has moved a motion and explained the purpose of it until the motion has been seconded. When seconding a motion or amendment, a member may reserve their right to speech until later in the debate. In accordance with the Constitution, please can members ensure that no speech exceeds 5 minutes without the consent of the chair, and no one has asked for that today. Comfort break. For the purposes of clarification, 4.8.23a of the Constitution does not apply to this meeting. Therefore, a member may leave the room during the debate and consideration of that item and still be able to vote. However, please be mindful of the business on the agenda and wherever possible, leave at an appropriate point in the proceedings. I will take a comfort break at an appropriate time in the meeting should proceedings continue at length. Number 6, referral from Cabinet. An item has been referred from the Cabinet meeting of the 19th of September 2023 regarding the financial system budget, which has been circulated as a supplementary document and will be considered alongside agenda item 8. Polling district review. On Monday, we'll be starting the consultation to review our polling districts and polling places for UK parliamentary constituencies. Easy for you to say. That sit within North Hertfordshire. We must do this every 5 years. There is a member briefing scheduled on Monday, the 16th of October at 7 p.m. via Teams to discuss proposals, particularly where changes are being suggested, which you have all received an email about. Tom, the Electoral Services Manager, has been canvassing members for their opinion regarding the location of polling places, and I do encourage you to provide feedback. The review must be completed by the 31st of January 2025. However, we do not have this amount of time for a number of reasons, such as the district ward boundary review by the Local Government Boundary Commission for England, resulting in changes to ward boundaries and the number of councillors per ward in North Herts. Changes to the parliamentary constituency boundaries and the uncertainty of when the next general election will be. Yes. As a result, any changes need to be reflected in the register published on the 1st of December. So we have the new register ready, in place and able to run elections on the new boundaries next year. Full council will be designating the polling places at their meeting in November of 2023. Number 8, the Chair's Civic Event and Awards 2024. Members should have received an email regarding this recently, but please save the date for my civic event and our North Herts Hero Awards. They will be taking place at Hitchin Town Hall on Friday, the 1st of March 2024. All proceeds from this event will be donated to my chosen charities, Feed Up, Warm Up and Resolve. A formal invite will be sent as soon as possible with further details, but I hope you're all able to join me for this event. Also, while I've got you, the donation of raffle prizes would be greatly appreciated. And if you have any raffle prizes to donate, or if you know of any companies who may wish to donate, please contact committee services or the chair's secretary. Just a little follow up on this. We had a lovely fundraising event a couple of weeks ago, a wrestling show at Hitchin Town Hall, which raised £650. So thank you everybody that came along. Number 9. Former councillor Jeff Wood. As some of you may be aware, former councillor Jeff Woods recently passed away. Councillor Woods was a ward councillor for 20 years from 1976 to 1996. First for the Letchworth Westbury ward before it was renamed to Letchworth South West in 1979. He served as a leader of this council from 1992 to 1995 and was chair of the council in the civic year 1983 to 84. During his time as a councillor, he also served as chair and vice chair of various other committees, including chairing the Policy and Resources Committee from 1992 to 1995. I'm sure that all members wish to join me in passing our thoughts at this time onto his family and friends, and I request that you join me in a minute's silence in remembrance. And finally, may I send our congratulations to councillors Plater and Plater on the birth of their daughter, Erin Florence Judy Plater. Number 5, public participation. I have invited representatives from my chosen charities to attend this evening, and I am pleased to welcome Ms. Laura Hyde from Resolve. I'm going to ask if you could give a little presentation to the council to explain the amazing work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to pass on my appreciation for the invitation to present to the council tonight. I'll do a short presentation. You'll like the word short, I'm sure. I know how long these meetings can take. I'm new to North Hertfordshire. I'm new to Resolve. I've only been in post for 6 months. My background was citizens advice in East Hertfordshire, so just over the border. And I must say, this is a much nicer council chamber, I must say. So, yeah, if I can, I'll move on. Thank you. I shall go at quite a pace, I think. I'll move on anyway. Okay, thank you. So for people that don't know, Resolve, our primary aim is to help service users to move to a manageable, positive lifestyle so that they can contribute to and enhance the communities with which they live. So North Hertfordshire in the main. So we run a free substance misuse treatment service based in Letchworth. We've also got a base in Welwyn Garden City. So we've been doing that since 2008, and we've been in North Herts since 2018. We also run a homelessness project and a community cafe and baby boutique, and they're all located in Hatfield. So we're based, as I said, in Letchworth. We've got a really lovely building just around the corner from here, and we provide high quality abstinence-based drug and alcohol treatment services. And when I say abstinence-based, it means that is the desired goal. So that's the end, but people don't have to be abstinent to access our services. What do we do at our service around the corner? We first of all assess people for find out what their needs are for their drug and alcohol issues, and that sounds quite easy, but it's actually quite detailed, and it's quite personal, the questions we ask. We offer structured day services, including groups and individual therapies. When I say day services, what that means is it's not residential. So we're not a residential service. It's a day service, so people can access it alongside other things that they do. It's individual key work, so it's group work, group therapy alongside individual work, and also one-to-one counselling. And that package of group therapy alongside key work and counselling is proven to help with addiction, particularly with alcohol. We're just about to pilot our evening support, and that's starting on Monday, this Monday coming. And that is particularly as a result of feedback from clients who work. So we've got a number of clients who are able to hold down a job, hold down a relationship, but they still need to access that regular treatment. And so by putting on an evening session, then they're much more likely to be able to sustain their employment. We also run family and carer support groups as well, because we recognise that the loved ones of people who have got addiction problems also need support. So I'll just go over our typical client journey. As I said, clients come in first of all for initial assessment, and we ask them to commit to 2 groups a week, and our groups are about an hour and a half long each. And that actually, compared to other support agents like the Living Room, who we work very closely with, it's quite flexible to the client. It means that they can live their life alongside getting treatment. And it's been, again, proven that if you can personalise support, and if people can hold down employment and keep their lives going, then their recovery is more likely to last. We have a number of groups that they can choose. So we have new starters, issues and feelings, coping strategies, relapse preventions, women's group, etc. As I said, they have monthly catch up with their key worker, And that's really important for people. It just keeps them on that recovery path. As I said, absence is a goal, but recovery is absolutely a journey. And I've sat in on group work, and I've sat in on one-to-one, and it's tough. It's really tough, that journey is. And people have to be very committed to it. And it's not a linear pathway. People kind of okay, and then they drop down again, they're okay, come back down, and they can keep coming back to our service to a point, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So we have counselling, we have professional counsellors who come and offer support, and that's absolutely confidential, so that nothing is discussed outside those two walls. So I don't know, the key workers don't know, it's between those two. We have a programme of 16 weeks, that's what we say. However, people can reattend if they wish to. If they are attending a number of those cycles, we have conversations with them, because it might just be they're not ready. They're not ready for that recovery. They don't want it enough. Or maybe we're not the right organisation for them. We work really closely with CGL, with the Living Room and other organisations, because they might be better placed to support that person. So what positive impact do we have, particularly in North Herts? Well, we know that we can help people turn their lives around. So that means that some people can get employment, can get onto volunteering. Some people can hold down their jobs. We will support carers and loved ones so that they can support their loved ones in that recovery journey. We do know that recovery can help health, both physical health and also mental health. It can bring to a happier life, and it can mean that people are more self-reliant and have responsibilities, which means they can have impact positively on their own life, but also the communities which they live. But also communities will experience reduced crime and antisocial behaviour, and there'll be an improvement in that local environment. Our biggest advocates are our clients. And unfortunately, I couldn't bring one along. Councillor Alan, when he visited our service a couple of months ago, met a couple of our clients, and they're very passionate. They're very passionate about what we do. I'll just read one out, a statement out. Resolve welcomed me and offered me their support in both emotional and practical ways. They helped me recognise thinking and behaviours which would keep me stuck in the cycle of addiction, and believed in me when I was unable to do so. This helped me through the toughest of times. I've now been free from alcohol for 35 weeks. I feel better than I have in a decade. And more importantly, I feel like I've put in the hard work and changed as a person from the drinker I was. Resolve is still giving me their help and support, and I very much value that. Without Resolve, I don't think my sobriety would not be possible. So just to go through some numbers with you. Of all of our clients last year, 122 clients used our service in North Herts, so our Letchworth based. Of our people who lived in North Herts, 35% of those clients lived in Hitchin, 33 came from Letchworth, 24 from Baldock, and 4% each from Royston and South Rural. In terms of this year, I thought it might be interesting to kind of paint a picture. So roughly on average, we have about 40 clients at any one time. So it's not a huge service. It's not a massive, so it's not like CGL that's got a big caseload. We're about quality and putting time into individual people. We take about 30 referrals per month. That can be from probation service, from other charities. It can be from GPs, etc. And we run 24 groups a week. And per month, we have 148 attendances to that group. Now, of course, they're not individual people. They can be coming, and hopefully they'll be coming more than once. So some of our costs, I'm putting that in because I know that different councillors are interested in different things when I give these presentations. So our service costs, the one in Letchworth, costs £165,000 a year. The bulk of that is made up, not surprisingly, from salaries and clinical supervision. We also have office costs, etc. In there. Just to close up with one last quote My life has become increasingly better since belonging, and I love that, to resolve. Having struggled chronically for a large part of my adult life, I lost everything. I was in despair and very sick. Every intervention that was thrown at me over the years from elsewhere was futile and to no avail. Through Resolve's love, understanding and genuine care, I now have something I haven't seen in many years, hope. I can't put a price on that. And my contact details are on there. I've left some flyers on the end and some free pens. I know everybody loves a free pen, particularly people like you that write a lot. So some pens at the side. It's because it's got our contact details on. If you want to take more, I haven't bought many leaflets because I'm aware of the environment and on our crisis emergency, but you might want some for your constituents and for your local environment. If you want more, contact me. So I'm open. I promise you it wouldn't be long, but I am willing to take any questions if anybody's got any questions at all.
Thank you very much, Laura. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Do we have any questions at all from Ms. Hyde about Resolve? Councillor Compton.
Thank you, Chair. Fantastic presentation. Thank you for that. I think that was, sorry, I'm at the front if you're looking around. So I'm a councillor for Royston, and what I could see there was quite clearly there's a geographic area that you're covering, and a lot of your clients or service users are coming from very nearby where you're based. Do you have many referrals coming from Royston and Southern Rural? And if so, is it a case that, you know, people can't get there and they might need support with transport? Obviously, given the subject matter, driving might not be possible at all times. And if that is the case, do you have other organisations that you work with quite closely in those areas, or would you need support in trying to contact some associations in those areas, just to try and maybe help more people, basically?
It's a really good question. I think one of the things that I haven't touched on everything is the lack of support in this area. So the commission services don't really stretch this far. The living room, which does a lot of work, doesn't really get this far. Because of my experience working in East Hertfordshire, I know the geography and how difficult public transport can be. If we get a referral from those areas, we will do our best to help to work with them. You're absolutely right that having their own transport, often people don't. Many people have lost their licenses. Public transport is limited in this area, but sometimes people rely on friends and family. The train, I mean, we're very close to the train station in Letchworth, which is beneficial. We do try and refer on where possible, but there is a lack of good quality support in the area. In terms of the number of referrals that we might get, or the number of people from those areas that we can't help, I don't have those numbers to hand. I can certainly find out for you, and find out for you if somebody from Royston came and they couldn't get to us in Letchworth, what would we do? How would we help them? But I don't have that to hand, but I can certainly find that out for you.
Thank you. That would be really interesting. I think, you know, councillors from both sides of the district would be really keen to try and support where we can to get you contacts or put on something if possible.
What is interesting is of all of our clients, don't forget we're in Welling as well, the place where most people live is Stevenage, and we get no support or contact with them at all. Now, I suspect it's because Stevenage is in the middle, but there are a lot of services in Stevenage, so it's interesting that people still come to Resolve. So I think that's quite interesting. And with Royston, the access to Cambridge, possibly, I don't know. There's access to Hertford, but even that's really difficult. So the geography is always tough, isn't it, around those areas?
Thank you very much. Councillor Bryant.
Thank you. I can just say that I'm probably unique with the chair in that I've actually been to Resolve, and I've been a couple of times. First of all, when they had a royal visit where Prince Edward actually asked to visit Resolve and spent the afternoon talking with groups, and it was a lovely atmosphere. And then secondly, I went back to give one of your members who became a key worker one of the chair's Heroes Awards, unfortunately after she actually had passed. But that again was a great event. And to say what a wonderful atmosphere it is, what a great organisation, and we really do deserve to give us our best and support the chair's efforts on this to raise money. Thank you. Bye.
I really do appreciate that. And I have to say that our clients and our staff, but our clients are the nicest people. I've only been here 6 months, so I still look at it from a little bit of an external eye. And they are just lovely, and break all the stereotypes that you might have of people who have drug and alcohol problems. They're just lovely, and it's tough. I didn't realize how tough recovery was. It's really tough.
Thank you very much. We do really appreciate you coming along this evening. Thank you. And just as a little nod, if you want to think about making some more donations towards the chair's charity on your way out, there is a little yellow rattle can over there. Laura, thank you so much for coming along. You're welcome to stay, or you're also welcome to leave should you wish to. Thank you. Shane Cole from Feed Up Warm Up was hoping to attend this evening. Unfortunately, due to a family issue, he's not been able to come along, and I will be inviting Shane to join us at another meeting later on in the course of the year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to make an apology. I made a mistake and overran an item in the minutes. As we mentioned earlier, former councillor Jeff Woods passed, and normally we would have invited people to make a comment on the passing of Councillor Woods. I do apologise. I went through the notes quickly, and I believe I do have somebody here that wishes to make some comments. Councillor Muir.
Chair, do we have a date for his funeral, or has that already taken place?
This is not the kind of information that I have here, but I will find out and I will get that forwarded to you, Councillor Muir. Thank you. Councillor Strong.
Thank you. I would like to give a tribute to former councillor Jeff Woods, somebody I knew before I joined the council, and somebody who was a serving councillor when I was elected. Jeff was an exemplary leader of this council, and I think the one thing I'd highlight about him was his vision. And one of the things he had in his vision was a vision for our town centres. And I think when you look round, you can be very proud as councillors of what he did to reinvigorate and revitalise town centres. And I will only pick on one, and I'll pick on Hitchin. And it was Jeff Woods' vision to take out the car park and replace it with a market square, a community space. And I hope on Saturday he's going to be looking down at the use of that community space, as Talhouse Rotary, in conjunction with the council, has a youth showcase. Jeff, you can be really proud of the legacy that you have left. You were a great friend, and you'll be sorely missed by us all, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Questions from members. There have been 2 questions submitted by members in accordance with Standing Order 4.8.11. A, the council responsibility to house asylum seekers granted leave to stay. Can I invite Councillor David Levitt to put the question to Councillor Sean Prendergast, the Executive Member for Housing and Environmental Health?
Thank you, Chair. Given the significant number of asylum seekers being accommodated in North Hertfordshire at the moment by the Home Office, what plans does this council have to house any of the families should they be granted leave to stay and become the responsibility of North Hertfordshire District Council to find homes for them?
Councillor Prendergast.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Levitt, for your question. I do think it's perhaps a question that Councillor Levitt should be asking the government. Almost every local authority will be in this situation, which begs the question, what is the government's long-term strategy to house people? Furthermore, do we know how long the government is going to take to process asylum claims? The answer is we don't. There is a huge backlog of applications that will inevitably put increasing pressure on local authorities. Quite frankly, the whole situation is completely unacceptable. What this also highlights is the need to build more affordable social housing, which has been another significant failure of this government. However, we are where we are, and this council does have a plan to try and manage this situation. A report was provided to Cabinet last week that provides an answer to Councillor Levitt's question. However, I'm more than happy to summarise this for members tonight. This administration has a strong track record of supporting refugees. We have successfully housed 70 refugees in direct response to government resettlement schemes over recent years. This includes refugees from places such as Syria and Afghanistan. Although asylum seekers are ineligible for local authority housing services, if they are successful with their applications, they will be granted refugee status by the Home Office. The Home Office is currently using 2 hotels in this district with a total of around 250 occupants. Our local registered providers have been very supportive of refugee resettlements to date, and the Local Authority Housing Fund will provide more affordable housing to help with these demands. However, it is anticipated there will be much more focus on the option of using the privately rented sector for the resettlement of refugees going forward. In view of this, a new fixed-term member of staff has been recruited based in the council's housing team in order to manage resettlement activity as part of the council's wider housing role, in an attempt to try and minimise the numbers who may become homeless. It is worth noting that around 12 months ago, the Home Office asked Hertfordshire to assist with the placement of 801 asylum seekers by December 2023, with North Hert's allocation being 97. We are seeking further clarity from the Home Office on this extra demand, bearing in mind the relatively recent procurement of 12 hotels in Hertfordshire, accommodating almost 1,800 asylum seekers. While this council is trying to be proactive in managing the situation, already high housing demands are almost certainly going to increase. Therefore, all local authorities will be reliant on government funding to manage the situation effectively. A situation that I must add was created by this government. Councils deserve better, but more importantly, so do asylum seekers. We must not forget these are people who have come from war-torn countries who need support and assistance. And although the government continues to fail these people, we will be here to offer support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Levitt, do you have a supplementary question?
I do have a very quick one. A report in the Daily Express on Monday, September the 25th. There was an article that said the government the Home Office must now consult councils legally to ask the number of people they can accommodate. Have we been asked that question yet, and what would the answer be?
I haven't seen that article, but bearing in mind it's in the Daily Express, I'll probably take that with a pinch of salt. But I don't know the answer to that question, Councillor, but I can find out for you and come back to you.
Thank you very much. Our second question is on the council's financial relationship with Birmingham City Council. Can I invite Councillor Ralph Munster to put the question to Councillor Ian Albert, the Executive Member for Finance and IT?
Thank you, Chair. To ask the Executive Member for Finance and IT whether North Hertfordshire District Council has a financial relationship with Birmingham City Council, and if so, to provide detail as to the nature of this relationship.
Can I invite Councillor Ian Albert to respond?
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Councillor Munster, for the question. I can confirm that North Hertfordshire District Council does not have a financial relationship with Birmingham City Council.
Does Councillor Munster have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you, Chair, and I'm certainly relieved to hear that, so thank you very much, Councillor Albert. But the problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. So can the Executive Member tell me what steps are being taken to ensure that North Hertfordshire doesn't join Birmingham, Nottingham, Croydon and Slough, all Labour councils who have declared bankruptcy through a Section 114 notice?
Councillor Albert, would you like to respond?
Well, Chair, I'm I'm happy to respond if obviously the chair and the monitoring officer can advise me whether that follow-up is in order, because clearly a follow-up question has to be related to the original question. So whilst I'm more than happy to do so, it's important obviously we follow the appropriate council rules and our constitution. So if I could get some advice from the chair or the monitoring officer on whether I can answer that follow-up.
No, it isn't. So as such, you do not have to answer the question.
Can I, well, on that basis, Chair, I would just say one thing. I would just repeat to Councillor Munster.
If you're choosing not to answer the question, Councillor Albert, I'll stop you there. Thank you.
Okay.
Notice of motions. We have received one motion to consider, due notice of which has been given in accordance with Standing Order 4.8.12. Council of Sanctuary. An amended version of this motion has been provided as a supplementary document on ModGov. Can I please invite Councillor Willoughby to move and amend the motion?
Thank you, Chair. I am proposing this amended motion as set out in the supplementary agenda item. I will assume that members have read the paper, so I won't repeat too much of all of this verbatim. I bring this motion to set out our desire to become part of the City of Sanctuary's local authority network, with the goal of becoming an awarded member and to reaffirm our strong commitment to the work we do in welcoming the refugees that make a new home in North Herts. We know that we have a great history of diverse culture in North Herts. Members who have just taken part of the North Herts Museum showcase just before this session may have seen just how long our history of cultural diversity has actually been, over 2,000 years. The work that we do in North Herts to welcome people from different backgrounds is phenomenal. Whether it's our council officers, councillors from across the chamber, local community organisations and charities, or individuals making efforts to bring people into being part of our communities. As the work that we do in this area increases, as the work is increasing across all of our services, we know that we need to have a cohesive, comprehensive strategies for how we undertake and tackle the challenges that we face. We see grants given out piecemeal and funding pots opening with too short notice. This means that we must continue the work towards a living strategy that rises to the challenges and shows where we can build on our work to do better or provide more. Joining this network means that we can join a group of councils who are already doing this incredible work, and it means that we can share resources to develop our refugee strategy and policies rather than starting from scratch. The importance of this has been highlighted by Councillor Prendergast's comments a few minutes ago. But this is not entirely about saving time and money. This is about people fleeing their homes for their safety who deserve to be shown compassion, care, and understanding. This motion shows that we are here for people that need help, who will add to the great diversity of our district and add value to our communities. We cannot view this as an entirely cumbersome challenge, but as an opportunity to show what we stand for as a council, as members of our communities, and as a district community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Willoughby. Is there a seconder to the amended motion? Councillor Prendergast.
Thank you, Chair. Very happy to second and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. We have a proposer and a seconder. We shall move on to the debate. Councillor Levitt.
Thank you, Chair. Applying for the Charter and becoming a City of Sanctuary, it requires a fair amount of paperwork to be done in the submission of action plans, etc., before you can be awarded it. Does this council have the resource available to be actually able to meet those requirements?
Thank you. We have looked into this. I've talked to officers. There is obviously a huge demand on the resource in our council at the moment, and particularly officer resource. What we are very careful and clear to do is that this is the start of a journey to becoming an awarded council. This is not us saying that we are ready immediately to become an awarded council. This means that we will work with officers as exec members, but across the chamber as well. I hope that we will all input into this process. We will make sure that we are working towards where we're trying to go to without rushing to it. With that in mind, the resource may, this journey may take a bit longer than, it being ready next year. But certainly this is the start of our journey towards it.
Thank you. Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Chair. When the war in Ukraine started, some members, without any fuss, drove to eastern Poland, taking up much needed supplies, then also brought back Ukrainian refugees. Other members took in Ukrainian refugees using the county council resettlement scheme. They didn't broadcast it all over social media, telling us what wonderful people they were, they just did it. Whilst I cannot criticize most of what the motion says, this motion, in my view, is going to make very little difference to anything. Will somebody jumping off of a dinghy in Kent think, I really must make my way to North Hertfordshire because they are an accredited council of sanctuary? The government already does the best it can to guarantee the safety of all children in care, including our general population. You don't need to look much further than Italy to see the enormity of the problem of economic migration combined with refugees. Look at Lampedusa last week. The volume of people is at present unmanageable for any democracy. No government, left or right, in or out of the EU, has been able to create a workable resettlement plan. It's selfish to have to ask our hard-pressed officers to include this motion, which after all would just produce another meaningless feel-good badge on the NHDC website. Thank you.
Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to commend the work of the community team for preparing this motion or supporting the motion. I work with the Cities of Sanctuary scheme through their university provision, and it has absolutely transformed the capability of the education sector to support and serve refugee communities through the exchange of best practice, through research and insight into the actual lived experiences of refugees, not the assumptions of white collar civil servants and politicians. And it's the benefit that provides is really huge. So to call it hollow, I find really challenging, having worked with refugees over my entire professional career in an education capacity. So I think it is it's brilliant that we're bringing it forward, and would also say that it's certainly not all about cost or about increasing officer time. It's about learning from each other's, not having to relearn the basics. And often the programs run on the programs that are implemented aren't about cost at all. They're just about knowing where the gaps are, where the pain points are, and removing them. So I think it's brilliant that we're pursuing this. And again, want to also just mark the Cities of Sanctuary movement for the amazing work that they've done to make the UK a much more welcome place, and the hard work of all the volunteers and people who've supported that initiative.
Thank you. Councillor Munson.
Thank you, Chair. Now, in February of last year, Russia invaded Ukraine. And I know that many were shocked by the images showing the realities of modern warfare. And that many in this room, I'm sure, were asking themselves what they could do in order to help alleviate the human suffering and the human misery that we saw in Ukraine. Now, just a month after I had first been elected, I was privileged to be able to support Ukrainian families in my constituency in Kimpton, making sure that they were able to access the support of which they needed. And when I spoke to these families, what I was struck with was not just the gratitude and the immense gratitude that they had towards local people, but the desire to return, the desire to go back to Ukraine, the desire to rebuild their country, the desire to go and be with their husbands, their brothers, their fathers. And I think in North Hertfordshire, we just have to look at the figures, and I think it's something which we should be incredibly proud about for how we supported and welcomed so many Ukrainian refugees into our communities. But I just want to turn to this motion because researching it and reading it, I have been asking myself a question: will this make a difference? And the conclusion of which I am drawn to is no, it won't. It won't make a difference whatsoever. And I'm unable to support it on that basis. Rightly, concerns have been raised about exploitation and modern day slavery, but the council should already have in place sufficient policies and robust policies to deal with this. In fact, I was at an Overview and Scrutiny Committee meeting a few weeks ago, and we were told that actually safeguarding referrals of this council are some of the highest we've seen in recent years. And it also calls on council to undertake a number of activities which would be more appropriate and, to be quite honest with you, more cost effectively done through local charities as opposed to local authorities, because what this local authority should be focusing on is providing high quality statutory services. I've said it before and I will say it again. And then we turn to the organisation, the City of Sanctuary, because this is an organisation that has continually sought to oppose the government's plan to tackle illegal migration every step of the way. Now, I fully support the government's plan to tackle illegal migration and the provisions contained within the Illegal Migration Act and the Nationality and Borders Bill. This legislation seeks to take power out of the hands of people smugglers who seek to capitalise on the misery of vulnerable and susceptible individuals by increasing the sentences of those who facilitate illegal entry into the UK. It seeks to ensure that if you enter the UK illegally, you will not have a right to remain here. You will be deported to a third safe country. And I therefore feel that it is incompatible, this organisation and this motion is incompatible with the government's policy to tackle illegal migration and the provisions within that legislation, and therefore I will not be supporting it.
Councillor Prendergast.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'm extremely disappointed by Councillor Morris and Councillor Munster's comments. The government's policy on migration is absolutely appalling. Secondly, thank you, Councillor Willoughby, for an excellent motion. In my view, there's no doubt that this council certainly is and should be an inclusive, open and tolerant council, and we should all be incredibly proud of this. In direct response to what this motion will achieve, this motion will give us opportunities to work collaboratively across the City of Sanctuary network in partnership with others to inspire change, and will further encourage inclusivity and compassion for people who have been forced to flee their homes. I can't see how anyone would be against that, and I strongly recommend this motion.
Thank you. That would appear to be the current end to the debate. In that case, may I ask us to move on to the vote, please? Did you want to, Councillor Willoughby, would you like your right of reply? My apologies.
I thank everyone for their comments, though I may disagree with some. I want to be very clear. I don't want this to be a party political thing. I think this should be something that we can all support across the chamber. It is really important, and there's a reason that this motion is worded the way it's worded. It is not about this party does this party does that, this government will do this government will do that. This is not what this is about. This is about helping people who are fleeing their homes, whether they are due to go back at some point where in an imagined future where conflict has ended in the country, where they don't feel like they're going to be killed in their homes, where I could go on and on about the reasons that people flee their homes, but I'm not going to. It would take far too long. And I think to suggest that this is a hollow, it won't make a difference, even if we just took the very base of saying that this motion will say to refugees that we are here for them, that they can make a home here, that they can feel part of our communities, that I alone, I think, would be enough. But it is so much more than that. It's about working with an organization and a network of people who care about people. That is what we're here for. That is what we are elected for. We are here to care for people. We are here to make people's lives better. This motion is setting out a vision, is setting out our journey to help make people's lives better. I hope that people in this chamber, every member in this chamber, can stand up and say, I care and I want to help these people.
Councillor Compton, unless it's a point of clarification, we have finished the debate, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, I would like to call for a recorded vote on this. And I would like to go to the vote, please. Okay, we are able to vote.
Chair, that motion has been carried.
Thank you very much. We move on to the. Yes, sure.
My thing didn't come up, so I wasn't able to vote.
Ah.
I would have voted yes for what it's worth.
Okay, we appear to have had a couple of councillors who did not have the opportunity to vote. Since this was asked to be a recorded vote, I am going to ask that we vote again, please. We are just going to check the system is running properly. While we're checking that, Councillor Prendergast, your name has come up to speak, but we are now in the vote, so I don't think I'm able to take that right now. Okay, if we can try and vote again, please. And for the third time, we're going to run again now.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Right. We move on to item 8 on the agenda, the financial system budget. Councillor Albert to present.
Cheers. Thank you, Chair. Essentially, we're asking Council to approve this paper, the additional budget of 200,000 of capital to enable the purchase of a new financial system. I mean, I hope I don't need to explain the importance of having efficient and cost-effective systems to monitor and control our budgets. Indeed, our colleagues, I suspect, in Hertfordshire County Council have found that only this week, in having to put in place Conservative-controlled Hertfordshire County Council, put in place emergency controls following a £16 million overspend they've suddenly discovered. So the importance of having accurate financial systems is very important. This report follows the tender exercise, which has identified the best value option. A new financial system is expected to allow the delivery of efficiency improvements across the council and externally, as well as improving the way in which we produce our accounts. Following cabinet discussion and approval, all new capital budgets need to be approved by full council. That's why this paper's here this evening. I believe that over its lifetime, the system will bring enough savings, which would recover not only the revenue costs, but also the revenue impact of the capital costs. So this is an off-the-shelf package, but some customization will be required to enable it to work in the most efficient way for our benefit. And clearly, as we go through the development phase, if this paper's approved, we'll obviously be working with officers, working with the finance committee and members here to make sure we can get the best benefits from the new system. The paper sets out the alternative options that we explored, including extending the current contract, but did not deliver the level of automation that we think that we need. The new system also meets our policy of moving towards cloud technology. So, Chair, I think for all of those reasons, I move that Council approve recommendation 2.1 in front of you. I move.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go straight on to the referral from Cabinet and then take questions for both together. So I'm going straight through to Councillor Dennis, please.
There we go. Thank you, Chair. I don't think I need to repeat very much of what Councillor Albert said on this item. Cabinet considered the matter and fully supports this additional expenditure.
That was nice and short. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Councillor Willoughby.
Sorry, Chair, I was going to second, but I'll leave it for now.
Thank you. Councillor Hone.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. If I can just correct some of the comments made there, the overspend in County Hall of 16 million is not capital, right? It is revenue and it is on children's services. So the speech that was given is totally incorrect. When the opening, when he said that there's overspend in counties due to capital spends, it's not, it was revenue. So now I correct that situation for the minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hone. The recommendation 2.1 that the council approves. Councillor Munster, I have seen you, and I will now ask for you to put forward your question.
Thank you, Chair. Efficiency, better efficiency in local government, music to my ears. But could I ask, how long will it be for us to realise the savings of this new system?
It'll be over the lifetime of the system, so that would be over a 10-year period.
Thank you, Councillor Compton.
Thank you, Chair. I echo quite a few comments there. I think having a new finance system that's far more integrated and automated is a fantastic idea. It will hopefully demonstrate a lot of savings in staff time, resource in particular. One question I will have though, or do have though, is with the upcoming budget in mind, are we able to have a look at some of the data that our existing systems have? I wouldn't want Councillor Albert to be someone that throws stones in glass houses and finds that we do find some information that's wrong, and I don't expect to find that. But it would be useful also for the budget setting for us to have a look at that budget and have a look at some of the data that is coming out of our existing system, and also for us to be able to maybe factor or give some suggestions of any service improvements as you're implementing it as well in the process. Thank you.
Councillor Albert.
Happy to take those points on board, Chair.
Then the recommendation, we will have debate after this. 2.1, that council approves a capital budget allocation in 23-24 of £200,000 for the initial work to develop and implement the new finance software system. The referral recommendation from Cabinet is the same. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Albert.
I move, Chair, and reserve the right.
Thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Dennis.
Yes, Chair, happy to second and reserve the right.
We move on to the debate. And it would appear that questions were already asked and answered. In that case, we will move on to the vote, please. Let's see how it goes this time.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. We now move on to section 9, the exclusion of press and public. I propose that under section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the meeting on the grounds the following report will involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the said Act, as amended. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Hone. Right. I am going to move into private session. I'm going to ask for members of the public to please. We're going to go to the vote first. Thank you.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Right. Okay. We are going to let people leave the room now. Councillor Thake, I do see you waiting to speak. I'm just going to get people to leave the room. Thank you. Just say NHDC.
Just confirming what we've actually want to.
We appear to have everybody back in the room, and I believe we are back online. We are. Wonderful. Welcome back. The number 11, new pension admissions agreement for Settle Group, Part 1. Ian Cooper to present.
So following discussion in part 2, we have come up with a recommendation, and the recommendation in part 1 is we adopt that recommendation, which is that the council agrees a new admission agreement between Hertfordshire County Council as the Hertfordshire Pension Fund administrator, Settle Group and North Hertfordshire District Council to allow Settle to achieve a partial exit from the local government pension fund. The terms of the new admission agreement would be in line with what was set out in paragraph 8, which was the option 816 of the report. Obviously, in part 2, we discussed the various options in relation to that and what those options were.
Thank you. May I have the recommendation? My apologies. The recommendation that council agrees to a new admission agreement between Hertfordshire County Council as the Hertfordshire Pension Fund Administrator, Settle Group and North Hertfordshire District Council to allow Settle to achieve a partial exit from the local government pension fund. The terms of that new admission agreement would be in line with what is set out in paragraph 8, including the recommended actions outlined in the Part 2 report. Can I have a proposer? Councillor Albert.
Chair, happy to move and reserve the right.
May I have a seconder? Councillor Dennis.
Yes, Chair, happy to second and reserve the right.
Thank you. We move on to the debate. I can see we all spoke in part 2. Thank you very much. We shall now move on to the vote.
Chair, that motion is carried.
Thank you very much. I bring this meeting to a close. The next full council meeting is on the 23rd of November, 2023. Thank you all for attending. Good night.